Hi guys, and welcome to a new video. I am Jana and today we are filming my November TBR. I am posting this quite late, I know that, but that's okay because the books that I have already started will be included. Let me sit a little bit more comfortable now. So I am going to start with the books that I'm currently reading, which are 3 books at the moment, which one is a little bit more on hold than the other 2 because obviously the other 2 are not as good as, are just better than the one I'm reading now. The first one is Hellfire by Muriel Pomeroy. Don't know how to pronounce it. It's about this goddess girl who runs away from her home because of some reasons that will be explained further along in the book. And she walks into basically the Leviathan's place, and one of the Leviathans is taking her in a trade for her soul. So she gets 1 week to stay there in exchange for her soul, and she's going to bother to see if she can stay any longer. Now, there are some tensions, there is sexual content there. It's a very spicy book. So far, I'm absolutely obsessed over it. Then next up, I'm reading Traitor Queen by Daniel L. Jensen, which is the second book of the Bridge Kingdom. I have reread the Bridge Kingdom probably 3 times. The third time more because I bought the second book and I couldn't really remember what was going on, so I just decided to reread the first book again and again and again. And now I'm almost done with the second book. As you guys can see, it's not that long anymore. I just love the way this author writes. I love the way her stories flow. Also that these are not too thick, even though it feels like you have read a very intriguing story. So for me, this is already a 4.5 stars, so yeah. Then I am reading the second book of the 5 Crowns of Occult by A.K. Mulford, which is The Witch's Blade. It's the second book. The first one was The High Mountain Court, which I did rate only 2.5, probably 3 stars. But I decided I still wanted to see where the story is going. Now I have noticed that book 1 follows another person than in book 2, so I'm intrigued. And I think book 3 and 4 are also by following different persons. Let me have a quick look. So yeah, this is the 3rd book, and I also have the 4th book somewhere over here. So every book follows a different character, so I don't think that's bad, to be honest. I think it's actually pretty good because it keeps the story interesting, in my opinion. So yeah. So I am now in the second book. This follows Ruadora, which she's only 18 years old, which I sometimes find annoying in books when characters are so extremely young and still make such spicy content. Now I don't think this is going to be as spicy as Hellfire is. Probably not, but yeah. So yeah, The Witch's Blade is one that I'm reading as well. Now onto the other pile that I want to read. I don't think I'm going to be able to read them all, but still, here we go. This has been on my list for so long, and I thought I would film a read with me because this is a pretty hyped up book, and that is The Poppy War. I have been wanting to read The Poppy War for quite some time, so I just have to get going. I just have to start it. It's been rated so... I have heard so many great things about this book, so I'm just going for it, guys. This month I will at least start reading The Poppy War. I have to start. Just have to. Then next on my list is actually, yet again, a book that I DNF'd. But I still want to try this because I've heard as further the story goes, the better it gets. And I'm a big fan of this author, like a huge fan. Like her other books are probably my favorite. So I don't know why this series is so difficult for me to get into. It's the first book that I really am struggling with. So I'm hoping that if I try again, I will be able to get through it. And that is, yes, guys, Throne of Glass. I have started this book probably 3 or 4 times and I keep putting it down. Even though it's not that I don't like the writing style. I mean, the writing style is okay. It's just the story itself and the way it starts and the main character's attitude. It's just not working for me. But I do want to finish it this time so I can go on to the second and third book and see if it is worth the hype and if I was just not ready for it. I don't know. I'm going to try this one again, guys. I have to. Then up next is a book that I've recently picked up. I think I put this haul up already, and otherwise it will be up pretty soon. And that is The Darkening by Sunya Mara. Only she can face the storm. So Vesper Vale is the daughter of revolutionaries, failed revolutionaries, since the queen sentenced her mother to death by a deadly storm that curses everyone it touches. Vesper and her father have been on the run. So when the queen's soldiers, led by paranoid Prince Dalka, catch up to them, Vesper will do whatever it takes to keep her father safe, even arm herself with her father's book of dangerous experimental magic, even infiltrate the prince's elite squad of soldier sorcerers, even cheat her way into his cold heart. But when Vesper learns there is more to the story of her mother's death and that her home is in dire peril, she has little choice but to trust the devious prince with her family's secrets or follow her mother's footsteps into the storm. I have read a few pages of this book already, like literally this much, and I didn't really like the beginning, but that might be me. So I am giving this book a chance and I am excited to see if this will be okay. Now, when Chloe Gong says it's a grand epic, I assume it's going to be a grand epic, and I'm pretty excited to read something grand. So I also really do love the cover, guys. Isn't this beautiful? Yeah. Now up next is a book that pretty much everybody is hyping up. So if I say the beginning, I think people will probably already know what book I'm talking about. Hunted Hunter Destined for Each Other. Tell me, guys, you already know which book I'm talking about or I'm going to talk about, and that is Powerless by Laura Roberts. I picked up Powerless as one of the first books when I started working at a bookstore. So let's see whether or not this is worth the hype. I believe this is a young adult book, probably. Only the extraordinary belong in the kingdom of Ilia. The elites have possessed powers for decades, gifted to them by the plague, while those born ordinary are just that, banished from the kingdom of Ilia and shunned from society. No one knows this better than Peyton Gray, an ordinary posing as a psychic to blend in with the elites. When she unsuspectingly saves one of Ilia's princes, Kai Azer, she's thrown into the Purging Trials, a brutal competition showcasing the elite's powers. If the trials and the opponents within them don't kill her, the prince she's fighting feelings for will if he discovers what Peyton is. Completely ordinary. So this sounds pretty okay. It sounds a little bit like this is going to be like Hunger Game-ish trials, or I have read Sorcery of Thorns. Well, the book about sorcerers by Eliskova, which I absolutely love, but I think it's Sorcery of Thorns. So I think it's going to be like some sort of trials like that, or maybe some trials like in Throne of Glass. Also has trials in there. I do love books with trials, but I do tend to get sick of them a little bit. So we'll see whether or not this book will be worth the hype yet again. Then one book on this list that isn't a fantasy, it's just a steamy book. I cannot say it any other way. And that is The Final Print in the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. I'm not a romance reader. I'm basically a romantasy reader, but not a romance reader. I like a little bit of fantasy. Well, I just like a lot of fantasy. So I don't know if this book is going to be it for me, but I bought a trilogy, so I have to get started with it at least once. What are all those black thingies? Oh, okay. So basically every chapter starts with a little bit of black in there. Don't know the point in that, but it is what it is. Seems that there's also some type of mailing or emailing or texting situation. So this kind of reminds me a little bit about, I don't know, 50 Shades. Don't know if it is like 50 Shades, but it does remind me a little bit of 50 Shades. So let me quickly talk about the back. I'm going to tell 2 point of views. I'm going to start with Rowan. I'm in the business of creating fairy tales, theme parks, production companies, 5-star hotels. Everything could be all mine if I renovated Dreamland. My initial idea of hiring Zara was good in theory, but then I kissed her. Things spiraled out of control once I texted her using an alias. By the time I realized where I went wrong, it was too late. People like me don't get happy endings. No, we were destined to ruin them. Zara. Now I'm going to talk about Zara. After submitting a drunk proposal criticizing Dreamland's most expensive ride, I should have been fired. Instead, Rowan Kane offered me a dream job. The catch, I had to work with the most difficult boss I ever met. Rowan was rude and completely off limits, but my heart didn't care. At least not until I discovered his secret. It was time to teach the billionaire that money couldn't fix everything, especially not us. It does sound a little bit like 50 Shades of Grey, which I have read, by the way. I have read 50 Shades of Grey. I didn't think the book itself was that bad. I mean, you don't read it for the plot. Let's just be honest. You don't read those types of book for the plot. You read it for the spice. The spice was obviously okay. So I'm excited to see where this one is going to go and what type of story this is. So, yeah. And lastly, I have another book that I have actually in my collection for a few months now. I think since January, so almost here. And I have yet to start. And that is The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. So when Sarah Yemas herself tells that this is one of the best fantasy novels she has read in a long time, I know I have to give this a try. It also has a lot of positive feedback on the back. So yeah, I am going to give this one a try. So let's give a little. The Emperor's reign has lasted for decades. His mastery of bone shard magic powering the animal-like constructions that maintain law and order. But now his rule is failing, and revolution is sweeping across the Empire's main islands. When the Emperor refuses to recognize his daughter as heir to the throne, she vows to prove her worth by mastering the forbidden art of bone shard magic. Yet such magic carries a deadly cost. This sounds like something I would read, so I think this is going to be a good book. I just have to get into it. So, is there a map? I love a good map. Yeah, there is a map, but it's not the map that I like, to be honest. It's a pretty weird map. Yeah. So, hello again. So I'm going to finish the books that I have started first and then see how far I can get away in this pile. These are, let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books. I have never read 11 books in a month. because I do work full-time, guys. I have my own small business, which does take up some time after work, and also I have a boyfriend who wants attention as well, and we are in the midst of watching Supernatural, so yeah, I don't always make the time to read, which I have to. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys next. Bye, guys!